It's time for Come and Talk It with your host, Michael Cargill, brought to you by Texas Law Shield. Over the last decade, Michael has championed and supported the rights of law-abiding Texans to own and use firearms. He is the owner of Central Texas Gun Works, a veteran of the United States Army, and has achieved national exposure in such prestigious media outlets such as Forbes Magazine, Fox Business News, CNN Money, AOL, BBC World News, Huffington Post, and the New York Times. Cargill vigorously defends lawful gun ownership in this country without regard to party politics. And now, here's Michael Cargill.
Good day, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Boy, let me tell you, there's a lot going on, and Kyle Rittenhouse is not guilty. That's right, I think I walked into every bar I possibly could and yell out, Rittenhouse! Rittenhouse! Because he's not guilty. You know what? As an ambassador to the Second Amendment, as an ambassador to, standing up for our constitutional rights, as an ambassador for the black community when it comes to firearms, are we defending Rosenbaum, the guy who said he would kill you mother effing N-words? I just need to know who are we supporting today, because I have a problem with that. Rosenbaum, this guy literally said this 20 times, and then he tried to act on it. And so Kyle Rittenhouse had no choice but to defend himself. And a jury has said, guess what? Not guilty. You got to, it's salty, but you got to swallow it and just let it go down. Also, Atlanta, Georgia. That's what I want to talk about. Man, let me tell you, Atlanta, what is going on? Over in the Atlanta airport yesterday, someone goes through security. And let me tell you, Atlanta is one thing, but in Austin, Texas, Austin is the worst airport in the entire country where people forget and take their guns through security. The worst in the entire country is Austin, Texas airport. But over in Atlanta, this idiot goes through security with his firearm in his luggage and tries to go through the checkpoint. You know, that area where they send all your stuff through the metal detector, where they screen it, you know what I'm saying? Where they're looking at it all, they're doing the, in, out. That's what I'm talking about. So he goes through security, the checkpoint, and they say, boom, dum-dum, you have a gun in your bag. So what does he do? Well, TSA comes over, you have a gun, they go in, and TSA negligently, not accidental. There was nothing accidental about this. There's no accident. You negligently put your hands on a gun and pull the trigger. Caused a panic in the Atlanta airport. People were running for their lives. They left their luggage. They left everything at the airport. They barely grabbed their kids, running for their ever-loving life. You know how it is. One person runs, then the second person, then the third person, and then before you know it, boy, everyone's going for the door. And it was chaos. Take a look at this. All right. Boy, I'm telling you, it's this madhouse. They're running for their lives, grabbing everything to get out. And then before you know it, they had to shut the entire airport down. Everything. Cancel flights. We're talking it was just insane at the Atlanta, Georgia airport. We got to do better, people. You got to do better. And then this idiot, guess what he did? Idiot who took his gun to the airport, he grabbed the gun and left and ran for. Hold on, let me do a report. According to, I'm looking at the sky cam here. I'm looking at the satellite picture, and it looks like he's almost in Florida right about now. He's still running, but they know who he is. This idiot ran for his life. I'm telling you, boy, it will never cease to amaze me. Never. But you know what? I want to go back to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse. Boy, the verdict's in. Not guilty. And you know what? I look at the case of Kyle Rittenhouse. I look at that case the same as I look at Ahmaud Arbery. You know that? That's what I say.
Yes, pretty similar.
Welcome to the show. Who is this? Who is that voice?
It's a familiar voice that you all know and love.
Yeah, that's right. The ladies love you in that suit and that tie.
Yeah, I know.
They don't know you like I do.
Oh, God.
There's a flower tie.
Yeah, you like this?
It's kind of girly. Like it's kind of girly, but go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
So, Rittenhouse didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
Not a damn thing.
Nothing wrong.
No.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. I think this was the correct verdict.
Why do you say that?
I agree with it.
He was a shooter.
They
were responding to a mass shooter, according to what people were saying.
He was being chased down, someone had fired a gun prior to him shooting any shots. Rosenbaum, the child molester who he killed, had previously threatened to kill him, threatened his life, and it was also in the midst of a riot. There was arson happening. I believe that's a fireable offense in Texas, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. It's kind of amazing that he was even arrested.
It's like this in Texas. Let me tell you something. In Texas, if you are committing burglary, any portion of your body goes through that door or the window, whether it's daytime or nighttime, a person can use force or deadly force to stop you.
Right.
In Texas, if you are committing arson, it doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime, a person can use force or deadly force and stop you. In Texas, if you're committing criminal mischief at night, a person can use force or deadly force to stop you. In Texas, if you're trying to kill someone, they can use force or deadly force to stop you. I can keep going.
Well, I think this is all exacerbated by the fact that there was an active riot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's a protest going on.
Yeah. So it's doubled down. I mean,
protest changed to a riot.
Plus, the media just kind of blew it all out of proportion.
Why do you say that?
I mean, the media kind of lit a fire. I mean,
they painted him as a white supremacist. He shot and killed 2 white guys. The one black guy that did attack him, Jump Kick Man, who I think they
finally
released his info in court.
He's been identified.
He didn't even shoot that guy. It's all a narrative that's been crafted in order to paint Rittenhouse as the bad guy, and I think it's a pretty clear attack on the Second Amendment and on individual liberties, right to self-defense, right to keep a gun. I mean, like I said earlier, there's really not what aspect of this is even remotely wrong.
They FAFTO. That's what I'm talking about.
They found out.
They found out
sure.
big time.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Who in their right minds would attack somebody with a loaded gun with a skateboard? Why would you do that?
Yeah, they found out. Yeah, you don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight.
Kind of stupid.
You know, and he who
I think that was some really good booze that they were drinking, because you got to be drunk and lit to do something that dumb.
He who draws first and gets off that first shot wins. That's all I got to say. Now, let's go back to comparing this. I want to compare this to that's right, to Ahmaud Arbery and the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I look at those cases the same.
How do you do that?
TJ?
I mean, I don't get
because
and that
talking to the mic.
Okay, that's why I think this is why I got invited to the show tonight.
That's right.
Was because you posted on Facebook, you saw these as the same, and if you didn't see these as the same, you were a racist.
That's right.
And I don't.
if you don't see the Kyle Rittenhouse case and the Ahmaud Arbery case as the same situation, you are racist.
No.
Says Michael Cargill.
Says Michael Cargill.
Says Michael Cargill.
So says the Lord.
Okay. I
don't.
Hold
on.
Then by your standard, for some reason, I'm now a racist because I do not see these two being anything alike.
Okay, hold on a second.
Go ahead. And by the way, our call-in number is 512-643-5483. Come and call me and tell me I'm wrong.
I'll tell you you're wrong right to your face right now.
That's why I'm here.
Here's the deal. These cases are very, very similar. But if you don't see them as similar, it doesn't mean that you're racist.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Who? You the authority on racism
I'm
now?
the authority on...
Are you Jesus?
I'm the ambassador.
Are you Muhammad?
So, Allah
Muhammad's
Akbar.
a little more accurate. You know what I'm saying?
All right, just tell me, how in the world can you say that these cases...
They are similar because in both
even
situations there was a person being chased down.
Here.
In one situation, it was a person being chased down by a literal mob, and in the other situation, it was a person being chased down by a posse.
Yes.
The only difference, really, is that one guy was black and unarmed, and one guy was white and armed. And the only mistake that Ahmaud Arbery made was that he didn't have a gun.
That's right.
Period.
That's right. Same case.
Can we end
Same
the show
case.
now?
No,
Do you not see how that's the same?
I do. And I'm not an expert on the Arbery case. I'm not an expert on the Rittenhouse case. But the Arbery case looks to me like you had 3 redneck posse guys that were
chasing.
Those 3 guys were probably racists.
Yeah,
okay,
but they were chasing him, right?
And they were chasing a black guy.
Okay.
And they shot him dead. Okay. He had been walking around
So they were chasing him.
They were chasing him.
He was being chased by a mob of people, 3 people.
He was being chased by 3 people.
All right. So
Yes.
and we can consider that a mob or posse.
Okay.
Posse.
That's fine.
Now,
Smaller than a
Kyle
mob.
Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
He was being chased.
Okay. Let's.
Was he being
Well,
chased?
let him go. Let him talk.
Was
Let
he
him talk.
being chased? He was being chased by Rosenbaum.
Okay.
Okay.
Child molester.
One guy.
He stopped him.
Okay.
And then?
he attacked him. He went for his gun. And Rosenbaum.
Listen, folks, this is mansplaining. Go ahead.
I don't know what the term mansplaining is, but you
can't mansplain to a man. You just call yourself a woman.
And so Rosenbaum.
Michael's transitioning here on the show today.
Supposedly grabbed for the gun, and he shot and killed him dead. Boom, self-defense. The biggest self-defense was the guy that he shot. I can't pronounce his name, Gillespie or
Grabs crotch.
Gross crotch.
Gross crotch. Okay.
Gross crotch.
I mean,
Gross crotch.
Crotch.
I mean, once whoever the guy that he obliterated his
arm,
right?
Okay, he pointed a gun at him and shot him. See, this is where
some things happened before that. So you had someone drop kick guy, jumped up, tried to kick him in the face.
Right.
You had another guy come up and try to snatch his rifle. Another guy tried to hit him with a skateboard, and then the other guy had the pistol.
Right.
There was another guy. There were 2 other people that were approaching that decided, oops, too many people have been shot. I'm going to back up.
Right. But the guy that he shot and did not kill, okay, that was the easiest to say. Not guilty. Almost immediately.
Was
because
he was being chased.
You have video of the guy when he
that's a long way to go in saying that he was being chased. He was being chased. Say it.
Okay, he was being chased.
Thank you. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about this and more. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Folks, this is Doug Man Jones. And I get my gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, we're going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back and we're talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. We're talking about Ahmaud Arbery. You know, and I'm kind of disappointed. I'm disappointed because people are not discussing the Ahmaud Arbery case. Gary, why?
I think that they're the same. They're essentially the same case. Sorry, my headphones are going in and out.
You're fine. They're the same case.
They're essentially the same case, but there are discrepancies and little intricacies and semantics that separate them, but they're essentially the same thing. In my opinion, the reason that a lot of people would say that they aren't similar is purely because of the fact that one of them occurred during an active riot. In both situations, it's a man being chased by a gang of people and is fearing for his life. Do not be fooled. If Kyle Rittenhouse,
both cases are the same.
If Kyle Rittenhouse did not have a gun, that would be a dead kid.
Right. That's
Ahmaud
correct.
Arbery. Kyle Rittenhouse would have been Ahmaud Arbery.
That is correct.
Am I saying that name right?
Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery.
Close enough.
And
he's not here to tell you. Correct.
And you know why he's not here? Because he didn't have a gun.
Because he didn't have a gun.
He should have had a gun.
That's right.
And if he would have had a gun,
he would be here to tell us.
These cases would be identical.
That's
there
right.
wouldn't be any differences.
That's right.
Yes, because if he would have had a gun, then you would have had the chaser being shot in the same way that the Rittenhouse case was. The chasers were shot, not the chasee.
Right.
In the Arbery case, the chaser shot the chasee, so that's why I say there's no difference. Now, somebody asked during the break, well, which one was worse? Well,
I don't even know if that really matters.
But
which is worse?
But everybody wants to. They're not.
Same case. I still say it's the same case.
Yeah.
Well, I still say because Michael Cargill says it. I'm a racist then because I don't see these cases.
Yeah, but you can't let Michael get under your skin like that.
That's my job.
You can't let him get into your head like that.
Oh, he's not in my head.
He
just
you're on the show. Look, here's the thing. Michael says that if you don't see these things, are the same thing that you're racist, right?
That's right.
I think that that's a variable that might affect certain people, but I think that the reason that some people, not you necessarily, because I think you actually agree that the Ahmaud Arbery thing is messed up, but I think there's a lot of people who view the Ahmaud Arbery thing as different, or they don't want to talk about it because it could possibly make the Second Amendment and guns look bad.
Okay, go back to you ask a question of why people aren't talking about that case.
Yes.
One of the reasons why people aren't talking about that case, in my mind, is there was so much video evidence in the Rittenhouse case.
She talked directly into the mic.
Okay. There was so much video evidence in the Rittenhouse case. I mean, all we have on the Arbery case is he said, she said, they said. Okay? We don't, you can't.
Well, there was a video.
There's a pretty clear video.
There's very clear video.
Okay.
Of him getting shot and
just tough because
everything.
Ahmaud doesn't have a gun, so that
Okay.
There's a video.
it's the inverse.
Like I said, I think that racism could be a variable. I think that, but I think that the main thing really is that one of these in the group of people that we interact with and network with and work with, we work with a lot of pro-gun people, and the people that are really pro-gun sometimes they're not going to want to talk about a story like that where these weird hillbillies made guns look bad.
I look at this from the beginning, okay? So if both people probably should not have been there, should not have done that. I look at that. Ahmaud Arbery.
No, wrong.
I'm not
wrong,
Ahmaud
wrong,
Arbery.
wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
I'm not going to go into someone else's house under construction. Is something I would not do. You can ask Zach this. Me and Zach go jogging around, whatever, exercising.
You don't
and
jog.
And whatever. And Zach
I want
comes
to
up.
watch that.
Zach comes up, comes up to a house and he says, "Hey, let's go check out this house because it's for sale." I will refuse to do that. I will stand in the middle of the road. I'm not going to walk up to this house and peek through the windows of this house because I don't want to get shot by one of the neighbors. I know better than that because I'm black.
Okay.
Exactly. And I will not do that.
And you know what? There are white people that have that feeling as well. And you know who one of them is?
Who's that?
Me, because I got in a lot of trouble with the police when I was a kid, and I got used to the feeling of having sort of a bad reputation. But I bestowed that upon myself.
Because you're a rotten child.
Okay.
But anyway,
So back in 1963, I don't. None of you probably were even born yet, but in 1963, my parents and I and my sisters, we moved to a new house and everything north of us was cow land. And then they started building houses up in there. And we would walk through and look at the floor. We would walk through and look at the floor plans constantly. It was no biggie to walk through a house that was being built to say, "Wow, I wonder what this is going to be."
Must have been nice, right?
I mean,
different world.
Again, that was 1963 in Normal, Illinois, which was a bubble of its own, but. I don't think Arbery walking in and looking around at a construction site was anything wrong with that.
No, I don't
Okay?
think it's a
Not
big
worth
deal
a
either.
murder.
it's
It's
not worth shooting someone.
Is that even chargeable?
I think
It
what
could be
you're-
in some states that is trespassing.
That's-
Okay, you're
Dude,
in other words, think about it like this: Can you walk downtown Austin right now and walk into a construction site, a building that's being built?
I wouldn't do that because
Why not?
Because first of all,
It's the
they
same
have to-
thing.
No, it's totally
It doesn't
not the
matter.
same
It's a
thing.
construction site. It's the same thing.
On paper, it's
tomato,
the same
tomato.
thing, but in real
But,
life,
yeah,
it's
it's
not.
still a bad
Doesn't
idea.
translate.
Okay, first of all,
hold on. I want to.
none
I
of the
will say
houses-
this.
One at a time,
I will
one at a
say
time,
that
one at a
when
time.
I was a
Houses that
kid,
you-
One at a
I
time.
used to go
One at a time.
to-
One at a time.
Now my mic's not
Yeah,
working.
one at a
None of the
when I-
houses
God.
that are being built, okay, have chain link fence around them like the places downtown do.
Okay, go, Gary.
Okay, there are houses being built with chain link fences around them. When I was a kid, I would as a kid walk into construction sites and look around. But as you get older, you learn things, and it's all dependent upon the location and the scenario. And the way I'm going to tie that back into the Rittenhouse thing is that the Rittenhouse situation was during an active riot, and the Ahmaud Arbery situation was a guy walking down a street. Look, if you don't want somebody in a construction site, you put a chain link fence around it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Like I said before, they're both being chased. They both, were going somewhere, probably should not have gone, whether it's going to a protest, going to a riot, whatever. You're 17 years old, you shouldn't have been there. Going into a house that's under construction, you shouldn't have been there. They both did something, whatever. They had a right to be there, whatever, however you want to decide it. But they were both being chased. One had a gun, one didn't. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hey, this is AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, and you're listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, Or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're going to change gears just a little bit. I want to talk some guns real quick. I want to talk about suppressors. I want to talk about silencers, because, man, my gun of choice is I actually have a Maxim 9 that I love to carry. I love to open carry that, and it has a suppressor on it. And I love that firearm. I like to have a gun next to my bedside that actually has a suppressor or a silencer on it. So that way, because I jump up in the middle of the night, I have to defend myself, protect my family. There's a button over there for you. If I have to protect my family, I want to make sure that, hey, I don't have ear protection on. So I want to bring into this conversation a little bit. I want to talk to one of the founders, the founder and CFO of KGM Technologies. I know it as KG Made. You may know it as KG Made, but they're KGM Technologies. Man, welcome to the show, and tell people who you are and what do you guys do?
Oh, thank you for having me. My name is Kyle Grobe. I'm the founder and CTO of KGM Technologies. Our I guess parent company is still KG Made. That's how we kind of got into the firearms industry, but everyone knows us as KGM Technologies now. We're a pretty large suppressor manufacturer here in Georgia. Which is another free state close to Texas. But yeah, we're probably one of the largest in the Western Hemisphere in terms of manufacturing.
That's right. And so how did you come about, deciding to, start this company?
So I started the company as an offshoot of just not wanting to work for other people anymore. So when that kind of developed, I worked 2 jobs for a long time and got the shop up and going. But we weren't into firearms. We actually started building race cars. My background's all automotive and nuclear, petrochemical. So I got into the firearms side, the business side, in 2015, just as kind of something else to do with extra CNC machine time. And it kind of got out of hand, and now we're at. But I've been a lifetime shooter, so it was inevitable I would get into it on the business side as well.
Yeah, and this year, the state of Texas passed a bill that said that hey, you know what, exempting Texas-made suppressors from the National Firearms Act. And in response to that, the ATF came back and they said, well, federal law still supersedes Texas' new law. And NFA regulations still apply regardless of whether the silencer or suppressor has crossed state lines. And so, and I know a lot of people are excited about this and say, hey, the state of Texas passed a law that said, hey, if a silencer or suppressor is being made in Texas and it's stamped made in Texas, then I should be able to bypass the federal law and take that suppressor home. ATF came back and said, no. Everything crosses state lines. There's nothing, no part, there's some piece of that item crosses state lines. Not everything is made in Texas. And they're right. The majority of stuff that we get are made from other states. Matter of fact, other countries. Even when you're making something, you're getting a part. Most likely some piece of that you're getting from somewhere else, like another country. And so it's got to cross interstate commerce. And if it crosses interstate commerce, the federal government comes in, and that is regulated by the federal government. So, and I know, TJ, you asked about that.
Well, then why did we do the law?
I don't know. And I ask people to move with caution when it comes to that. because like I said, something crosses state lines. It crosses, it comes from another country. So you have to be careful of that. And that screw or piece or spring or grommet, something is coming from somewhere else. So you got to be cautious of that.
Click the button that time. I did click the button. I know what you were gonna say. I know you.
All right. So we're having fun in the studio today. All right.
I see that.
So tell us, first, what your thoughts on that, on what Texas did, if you have an opinion on that. And then, I want to know some of your new products that you have.
Sure. So that piece of legislation was interesting. I think we saw it also in, I want to say Kentucky, or it was Nebraska, where they also did the same thing where they passed it at the state level. But I also know that some guys made some suppressors, sold them to some people in the state, and ATF came in and raided them and essentially held them to federal regulations.
All right, they were convicted, and I think they appealed that case to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court decided not to hear it, and they've been convicted of a felony.
Yeah, and they're looking at, and ATF likes to make an example of people sometimes. So that's 10. I think it's 10 years and 250 grand per offense. So, if they want to make an example of them, they could really put them away for a long time. So, I think it's interesting that Texas passed it. Knowing what the history is on the I think it was Nebraska case, I was kind of surprised that they passed it. But if anything, it just really proves a point that, hey, like, states are really thinking about this. Like, this is a topic that is becoming more and more prevalent, even at the state level, that people are tired of their Second Amendment rights being trampled all over, and
not just their Second Amendment rights, all their rights.
Well, all of them, but specifically talking about Second Amendment. But yeah, you are 100% correct. So I think it's more of a wake up call to the federal government side that people are just getting tired. And I think it was just kind of a show of power and show of like, hey, like we're here, and you need to start listening to us, and we're tired of putting up with the same crap that you've been giving out for decades. You got to think NFA Act was what, 1934. Right. So there's been a lot of trampling for many decades.
Now, what are some of the new products you guys are coming out with? Some new things you're trying to do?
So we got a whole bunch of stuff. We officially launched our brand KGM on the suppressor side in January of this year. We have everything from 22 to 50 BMG. So we have 22s, we have 5.56s, 9 mil. We have a lot of caliber specific stuff. So again, my background, a lot of the guys we work with are all precision based. So we do a lot of long range shooting, ELR, PRS. Stuff like that. So we do a lot of titanium stuff. We also do a lot of caliber specific stuff because you can really optimize the can for the caliber. So we have a 6mm dedicated can. We have a 6.5, 30, 338. We got a 375 stuff we're working on. We have some integrals that are coming out next year. So it's really quite a large gambit to really hone in your suppressor for your given application, because that's where you're going to get the most performance and really the most value for your money. Because these aren't cheap. You have them for the rest of your life. You might as well buy something that is applicable to what you're using. There's a lot of dual suppressors out there, and you can buy a 338 can and shoot on everything. It'll probably sound pretty good, but it's kind of one of those, you got to think about jack of all trade, master of none kind of mentality. So it really depends on what you're looking for, but we got just about everything.
Now, what about the process, getting the tax stamp and stuff like that? You guys working on anything for that to speed it up, help speed it up?
So it's not super public, but there has been, so the ATF, NFA branch specifically received some funding, I think about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, on how to upgrade their system. So, any of y'all that have gone through the tax stamp process knows that it's very archaic. You're still hand filing forms and filling stuff out. And then the NFA branch is also hand entering your information. You have errors and all stuff like that. So they got some funding to digitize the entire system and make it cloud-based. and they did probably the smartest thing that they've done in a long time, and that's hire an outside firm to actually build the back end. E-Form 1s was kind of the test where you can do SBRs and SBSs, stuff like that. So that was kind of the test of going to a digital system, and we see plenty of sub 30-day forms.
Yeah.
So that kind of proved the theory that, hey, this is possible, this works. And so they hired Oracle to actually build the entire digital backend system. So I don't know when that's going to be released. They promised it this year. We've done some beta testing months, probably almost 9 months ago. But that's probably the next really big leap in forms, is digitizing the entire system, from your photos to your fingerprints to actually how it goes to the ATF and actually goes to the FBI for your NICS check.
Now, what about parts and pieces? Are you having problems getting, parts to make your suppressors, your silencers?
Not right now. There's some material shortages here and there, especially on the Inconel and nickel-based alloy. So a lot of the stuff we do on the belt fed on the military side, we're having a little bit of trouble sourcing large quantities of material. But right now, the unfortunate side is you can get material, but most of the time you have to order it 30 to 50 weeks in advance.
Oh, wow.
So we're placing orders for material for what we're going to build June to August of next year.
Oh, wow.
So you just got to be a little more on top of your game with planning. You got to be really good at your forecasting, really good at your manufacturing supply chain. But we have a really good vendor base that we occupy about 120 machines in 5 states.
Oh, wow.
So we have a large base. We have a good vendor pool, but we also, because of the buying power that we have, we buy a lot of the stuff we buy directly from the mill.
Okay. And then what about working with Silencer Shop?
So Silencer Shop, we do some work with them. Again, we build a lot of stuff for OEM, so we ship a lot of major brands that you probably know that I can't talk about, but a lot of major brands we ship to Silencer Shop. They have a really, really good system with the kiosks and the digitization of everything they've done. So you can there's some slight conflicts with them selling our stuff directly because of some of our other OEMs, but you can buy our products through their system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us, how do we find KG, KG Technologies? How do I get myself a KG-made suppressor and silencer?
So kgm-tech.com. You had the website pulled up. On Instagram, we're KGM Technologies. We will have a full shopping cart set up where we will be able to take orders off the website, essentially get all your information, and then we'll essentially work with our dealer network, or be able to transfer to a local dealer of yours and be able to start facilitating sales that way. So if someone has never bought one before or doesn't know or wants to buy it directly, but the dealer doesn't want to carry the line, you can still buy a suppressor. It's a similar business model to Silencer Shop. We've been working with them on it.
Yeah. I tell you, Gary, all business is done, in the bar. It really is. I was literally sitting at the bar, and really everything's done at my favorite place. I'm not going to name the name. And I'm sitting at the bar and just talking, and the bartender mentions to someone sitting off to the side, yeah, this guy is in the gun industry and, selling guns. And so the guy said, oh, really? Well, I have this friend, he does suppressors. I'm like, really? Well, who's your friend? What was the name of the company? He says, KG. He's like, KG made, KG Technologies. I was like, oh, yeah, I know them. Yeah, we get a lot of those suppressors in. And I say, man, give this guy my number. Tell him to give me a call. I tell you, that's how things happen.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you're almost 100% right. I would say the majority of business is done in a bar. And then a business that's not done in a bar is done in the strip club.
Oh, my goodness.
Is there a difference?
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Hired.
Get us all
This guy's my new agent. I'll talk to TJ.
Oh, man. And before we cut you loose, I do want to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Man, I tell you, Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty. What say you?
On all counts, man. That's awesome.
That's right.
It really was a reaffirmation of self-defense rights, and it was a bad situation. There was no doubt about that, but he handled himself extremely well. If you look at a lot of the details, and it's funny, a lot of the details have come out after the fact, like he was protecting his grandparents' store. And there was a lot of other stuff. He was trying to put out fires. He was doing stuff like that. He didn't shoot until he didn't even try to pull the trigger until someone was actively trying to kill him. And even then, he fired very accurately, just the number of rounds he needed to, and
he's 17
and got out. And he's 17.
That's insane.
There's a lot of people that are 3 or 4 times older than him that would have not held themselves in the same situation. So I applaud him 110% for holding his own, doing what he had to do to get out of a bad situation. It's unfortunate for him that he had to do that.
He had to sit in the clink for a minute, though.
He did. He did.
Hey, real quick before you go, you did mention that this is reaffirming self-defense rights. And I also want to mention that this verdict sets the precedent that if you're being chased by a mob of people who have threatened to kill you, it's okay to defend yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. DJ?
Yeah. You don't have to go on a shooting spree, but you if you're cornered and you're put up against a spot and you just want to get out of there, that it is okay to defend yourself. And in a court of law, it will be it'll be upheld, which is again a massive +1 to the personal rights and the self-defense community for sure.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a mob that's chasing you. It could just be Michael Cargill could be chasing me down.
But if you can't outrun it
with a baseball bat, okay.
If you can't outrun Michael Cargill, something's wrong with you. I'm telling you.
Well, you're the one that said earlier today you were going jogging
all the time.
Okay, well we're going
we knew
jogging.
That was a big load. Michael never jogged in his life.
I have another question for the gentleman on the phone. You said you had 6 plants around the country. Is one of them in Texas?
No, one of them is actually not in Texas. Used to be
Why?
in Texas, but
why isn't one of them in Texas?
Well, it was the.
He says coming soon. Coming soon. We said it didn't work out.
No, it just didn't work out.
Well, you need to try again, and you need to bring business to Texas, okay? Because I'm assuming that the people that work for you are liberty-loving Americans, and we need more of those here in Texas, and less people from Google and Apple.
So less people from California, I'll tell you. Yeah, man, I tell you what. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you coming on and tell us about KGM Technologies. I like to refer to it as KG Made, but KGM Technologies, the founder and CTO of KGM Technologies. Man, thank you, Kyle.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
All right, you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, we come back from the break. We're going to talk more about this Kyle Rittenhouse case. I got some news going all around the country. I want to talk ghost guns, deadliest city. Who is the deadliest city in the country? Man, someone was drunk, high, and rolling. Drunk, high, and rolling. I'm going to tell you what that means when we come back from the break. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Hi, this is Stephen Williford, the Barefoot Defender. I get my global gun news from Michael Cargill at Come and Talk It.
Hello, my name is Edwin Walker. I'm an independent program attorney with Texas Law Shield. I want to talk to you today about an issue that we see on a daily basis. In fact, you yourself will encounter it on a daily basis, and that is the subject of road rage. I am sure that you have all seen road rage. You may have actually been involved in a road rage incident. Now, if you're a responsible gun owner, I'm going to give you a few words of advice on how to react when you find yourself in one of these unfortunate road rage incidents. While on the roadways, we all observe something that makes us upset. Whether it's poor driving, unsafe driving, or just simply somebody being very discourteous. By all means, you should restrain yourself from engaging that person and telling them how bad their actions were, because this can be perceived as an act of road rage. If you're a lawful gun owner, you have a firearm in your vehicle, you do not want to be viewed as the aggressor in a road rage situation. Now, with regard to a situation where an individual has chosen to rage against you, and you are the actual victim of the road rage, if you and the other individuals are still in their automobiles, do not use your firearm to respond to any of the rager's activities. This is because law enforcement views the fact that you're both still safely in your metal boxes as removing any threat of immediacy that you may be harmed. So please, if you have a gun, somebody is raging against you, forget you have a gun. Don't display it, don't brandish it, don't show it, don't point it, and for God's sake, don't fire it. This could result in a lot of trouble for you. Now let's look at a situation where a road rage incident has escalated. It has escalated to the point where one of the participants has actually gotten out of their vehicle. We recommend that you stay in your vehicle at all times. Do not exit your vehicle, because the person who exits their vehicle is going to be looked at as the aggressor. If the other individual has exited their vehicle and they are not in contact with your vehicle and they do not have a weapon, then do not feel that you can display your weapon in an act of self-defense. People are allowed to just simply stand there and scream at you, scream whatever they want. Until they make a demonstrative effort to try to harm you, there is no immediate threat that would justify displaying or shooting or brandishing your firearm. Now, in the event that the person shows their own weapon, in particular a firearm, the existence of their weapon would give you reasonable belief that there was an immediate threat.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so I want to go over a little news here, man. We got some news going on around the world and the state. So over in Atlanta, Georgia, got a couple things going on in Atlanta. We got that the little mass exodus of the Atlanta airport that took place in Atlanta.
Mass exodus.
Mass exodus. You know how it happens, you know. One person, starts running and everybody runs. It's crazy.
Astro World, man.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy mayhem.
Michael, did you say that the guy that pulled the trigger was a TSA agent?
That's what I'm saying. And that's Michael is saying that. I haven't confirmed that, but I'm telling you that I bet you that's what happened.
Okay.
That's going to be my guess.
They did say the passenger sprung for the gun.
Right. So basically what happens is guy goes into the airport, takes a trip. He has his gun in his luggage. He goes to the checkpoint, the security area there where they're checking and scanning, your stuff for weapons, those things, guns and bombs and knives and stuff. So he goes in through there. They find a gun in his luggage, and they say, "Whoa, dude, you got a gun in the bag." TSA agent goes to pick up the gun. It was negligently discharged, and then everyone ran for their life in the airport. Cleared the entire Atlanta airport out. The entire place. Cleared out.
What caliber was it?
Don't know.
It wasn't a 22. Wouldn't have been loud enough.
Don't know. Cleared it. And so, man, it was complete mayhem. They had to stop flights. It was just madness at the airport. So, and that's a major hub. That's a major airport in this country to shut things down. So let's go back to Atlanta. Let's stay in Atlanta because Atlanta's good. Let me tell you,
They're in rare form.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, it's been a crazy week. So an ambulance driver.
Hey, real quick before you move on to that, I don't know if you saw this part, but it said the individual whose weapon was discharged was identified as 42-year-old Kenny Wells.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a quote from the Atlanta Police Department Airport Precinct Commander. "We have taken out warrants for carrying concealed weapon at a commercial airport, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, discharging a firearm, and reckless conduct." So they're saying he discharged.
They think he did it. And I think they're blaming it on him. I'm willing to bet the TSA agent did. Because they see a gun, the likelihood of them letting you reach for the gun and take it is not likely.
Right. They're pulling you aside
Yeah.
and saying, hey.
I can see a TSA agent grabbing that gun, it discharging, and then that person, TSA agent, dropping the gun, and then that guy reaches for the gun, takes off, and runs.
Why would you?
That's
why would you have a loaded gun in your?
Well, he's
luggage?
an idiot.
No.
Hey, shit happens. I've been there. Not my gun, but
watch your
not my
language. But
bag.
I think that it's possible that what if this was a situation where somebody was trying to, you know.
No, he's just a dum-dum.
How do you know that?
Oh, I'm sure he's just a dum-dum.
Just instinct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
Because
just
he's
an
just
idiot.
negligent.
Yeah. All right. So let's stay in Atlanta though. So staying in Atlanta, ambulance driver facing charges trying to leave an Uber after a deadly crash. And this is the case of drunk, high, and rolling. You ready for drunk, high, and rolling?
What's rolling?
Okay. So
what does that mean, Michael?
Well, let's check it out. So details have come out and been released by a police department outside of Atlanta there that a driver of a deadly ambulance crash that killed a patient Friday night. So the ambulance driver, 34-year-old certified paramedic, is facing DUI and homicide charges after crashing. He crashed and killed a 66-year-old Wilton Thomason who was on dialysis, a patient who was being transported. Now, basically what this guy did was the officer responded to the crash and said he arrived to find the ambulance turned over in a ditch, according to the report, and witnesses on the scene provided the officer with a ladder to climb on the back door of the ambulance, where he saw the driver, another passenger, and the patient in the ambulance. And so when the officer came out of the ambulance, because he was pulling everyone out, he saw that the driver started to give CPR to the patient. And so when the driver said, that the patient had gone to cardiac arrest, and once a medic from another ambulance arrived, he looked at Thomas and he said, "Hey, he's passed away. You can stop giving him CPR." Everyone climbed out of the ambulance, and it was overturned and everything. And so while Georgia State Patrol was on their way to the scene, the ambulance driver, and the passenger of the ambulance, they tried to grab an Uber and take off and leave. And so when the Georgia State Patrol arrived, they said, "Hey, we need to give you a sobriety test." They gave this guy a sobriety test, which he failed. And the report reveals that the driver admitted to smoking marijuana, taking Adderall, and drinking a beer, all while driving the ambulance. And boy, let me tell you, that's Atlanta. That's crazy, isn't that? Is that not insane, TJ?
What a way to go.
Well, I think that could probably happen any place.
Drunk?
I don't think Atlanta is any different than. It wouldn't have surprised me if you would have said that was Austin.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Why?
Well,
Did you see this part, the part here where it says it is still unclear if the passenger worked with the driver or was there with the patient? What if it was just his buddy and they were just driving around?
Smoking and toking.
You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that?
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing on Thursday night? Hey, man, I'm driving an ambulance drunk. You want to come hang out? Yeah.
Sure, man. I'll bring the weed.
I tell you what, you know what? We got about a minute left, so let's stay in Georgia real quick. I got one more story for you. Georgia. So a prosecutor pleads guilty and resigns as a jury deliberates. So basically, as a jury was deliberating over this guy's fate, and a Georgia district attorney on Monday pleaded guilty to several charges stemming from improper acts while in office and agreed to resign. Mark Jonas had already been suspended as Chattahoochee Judicial Circuit District Attorney after the state attorney general's office obtained the indictment on September the 7th. It accused him of trying to influence a police officer's testimony, offering bribes to prosecutors in his office, and trying to influence and prevent the testimony of a crime victim. Now, Jones took office in January, overseeing the Chattahoochee Judicial Circuit, which serves as Muskogee, Harris, Chattahoochee, Marion, Talbot, and Taylor counties in West Georgia. After deliberating briefly Thursday and then all day Friday, jurors had indicated that Friday afternoon that they are unanimous on 3 of the 9 charges, and the judge instructed them to keep working on the others, according to a local news outlet. So this guy, man, I don't know what's up in Georgia. I don't know what they're drinking. I don't know what's in the Kool-Aid. We come back, we're going to talk about...
They're getting too much Chattahoochee down there.
We're going to talk more. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It. I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were complying with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so you hear that? They were talking about that on the news a second ago. So Austria getting ready to go back into lockdown, and Germany may follow suit. Boy, I'm telling you, that's bad. I'm going to tell you why that's bad. It's bad for firearms because, Glocks, Glock 43, Sires, M6, you have a lot of different parts and pieces are actually being manufactured and made in Austria and then shipped over to the United States. Do you know that the majority of our parts and pieces that we get for guns are made from other countries?
Yeah, that might actually be a good thing. Maybe people will start producing more pieces and parts in the U.S.
I want to know what's going on with ammo.
When are you going to get some 38?
Here's what the problem with the ammo. When everything shut down last year, March 13th of 2020, everyone ran to the store to purchase guns and buy ammunition. When they went to buy ammo, instead of normally people going and getting one box here, one box there as they needed it, they were buying, a case or two cases. So when
was the last time somebody came in with one box of ammo anytime?
It just happens.
I don't think I've ever bought one box of ammo at a time.
A lot of people do that. And so now they're buying more than they normally did. And because of that, it's like supply and demand, So demand is high and now supply is low. It's hard to restock that. And then you got a problem with trucks. You got a problem with moving things, goods and services around the country. It's a problem all around. Like toilet paper.
But they solved the toilet paper problem. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, there was an issue with toilet paper for a short time. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've been 18 months.
In March,
I ordered 1,000 rounds of 45 off the internet 18 months ago,
The real question is, how many people buy 1,000 rounds at a time?
Well, I'm on
That's
my,
a lot.
I'm on my way to a front sight course where I need 600 rounds for the course.
Oh, so you're a
He's a shooter.
Okay, I didn't realize. Okay, so that makes more sense. Then.
All right.
No, I mean,
But still,
I needed 600 rounds, and I ordered 1,000
for an event.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. And I mean, 18 months ago, from a reputable online dealer, said, "Hey, I need 1,000 rounds," and they said, "Okay, great, you can have it." And then as soon as I gave my credit card, I got the email. Well, it's in back order.
It's gonna be
back
8
order.
months or something.
And still now I just got another one said it's still back order. Do you still want to keep it? And I said, yeah, I'm gonna still keep it. It's gonna take me 2 years from sportsman.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand why we haven't solved the issue.
The problem is you have the same amount of ammunition that's being made, but the demand is a lot higher. And then in some cases, less is being made because you can't find employees to work.
Yeah, there's a labor
Some people
shortage
don't
as well.
want to
That's a
go
good
back to
point.
work, and that affects everything. That affects the warehouse, it affects the manufacturer, it affects the transportation,
Well, Michael,
the trucks,
that just
everything.
means that you need to work harder and stop being so lazy.
I'm gonna jump across this table.
Okay, I want to see a video of that. Him jogging and jumping across the table.
Man.
Hey, so during the break, he did ask a really, in my opinion, a very interesting question, and I think it's pertinent. Is the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict going to affect the Garrett Foster case in any way? Well, the Daniel Perry case. I'm sorry,
Daniel Perry, and I think not. I think the only thing it's going to do is going to motivate their DA, and it's going to motivate that DA to try to make sure he finds a jury in liberal Austin that's going to try to convict this guy.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's gonna judge this case by their feelings and not on the evidence or the law. I think that's what they're going to try to do. Yeah.
Well, I think that the DA was always going to try to find a liberal jury. I mean, no matter what. I mean,
yeah,
no
that's
matter
a good
what.
point.
Okay, it's not like I have a lot of faith in the Austin DA,
I
the Travis County
maybe,
DA, that he's going to do anything fair and honest.
So maybe what might happen is that they use the Rittenhouse case as a point of reference, possibly. I don't know what the arguments on each side are going to be, but maybe they'll say it was a situation like that because it was similar in the sense that it was the same. Well, it wasn't a riot; it was a protest.
But at that point, it's still a mob and self-defense.
Yeah, that's okay. Dude, it always comes back to these mobs. You notice that every time a mob of people tries to chase somebody down, somebody dies. Maybe we should just stop having torches and pitchforks and run around like crazy, and we settle things like adults and communicate.
The problem is you have this group of people that think that they have a right to take to the streets, what they do, to let people know that they're upset about something. But when you take to the street, you are blocking someone's path.
And you have to deal with the consequences. Just like freedom of speech.
Exactly.
Freedom of assembly is the same way. With freedom of speech, you have the freedom of speech. You have the freedom to say something, but you also have the freedom to reap the consequences of what you say.
And then when you attack people and then you threaten them and then you attack and threaten them with a firearm, there are consequences of that. And like I always say, he who draws first and fires wins.
Yeah, it's called being quick on the draw, baby.
And the debate has been settled. The AR-15, AK-47 debate.
You like that I sent you that earlier, huh?
Has been settled. That is correct.
Hey, what's better, an AK-47 or an AR-15?
I'm an AR-15 fan.
Absolutely, that's right.
American rifle.
That's the only right answer right there.
That's right.
Anybody that's got an AK-47, commie scumbag.
That's right. AR.
Well, that's like those people that play soccer.
Commies.
Commies. It's a communist game.
What if we play soccer with AR-15?
That's right.
I know you can go skiing with an AR-15, and that's a sport.
Now
but I didn't know you could play
it's
soccer
funny. I'm
with an
actually
AR-15.
one of these articles we put in the show doc today from the Rolling Stone. It actually shows a man with an American flag on his arm. You see this right here, and he's riding around on a skateboard with an AR-15. You see that?
Well, he's ready for everything.
That's one of those. That's one of those motorized boards.
Do a
too.
kickflip.
No, that's one of those motorized boards too. He's gonna drive by somebody at 40
Dude,
miles an hour.
that's the future of warfare right there, dude.
Yeah, no shit.
Hey, Michael, do you know what document I'm talking about here, this article from Rolling Stone, the Rittenhouse verdict in a Supreme Court case could spell an open season on protesters. How ludicrous of a title is that?
Well, they're trying to trigger people is what they're trying to do. They're trying to, push this narrative that, you shouldn't, you're being attacked by someone. You just don't have the right to defend yourself. And that doesn't make sense to me. I can't comprehend something like that.
Well, I've been saying all along, they're asking the wrong questions and they're making the wrong arguments. Okay, I do not believe for one moment that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist. But if Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist,
I don't think
it would have made no difference, in my opinion, at all about this case.
That's a good point. That's actually a really good point.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, he was using self-defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like if he would have been a Klansman,
he could have been a Klansman
in a white robe and
a pointy hat.
He still does.
He still has the right to self-defense. I mean, and I don't, not at all way, shape, or form saying that Kyle Rittenhouse is anything to do with white supremacy or anything. I don't think that race was any part of the case at all, and shouldn't have been any part of the case at all. But even if you are going to go to the extreme to say Kyle Rittenhouse was a Klansman and a white supremacist, okay, fine. But when he shot those three guys, he was protecting his life, and there's nothing wrong with that, period.
When he shot the first person, he was standing up for black folks because the first person said the N-word about 20 times. So.
And he was also a child molester.
That's right.
So Kyle Rittenhouse
but he didn't know that.
Standing up
he
for
didn't know he was
black
a child
people,
molester.
and he's standing up for the kids.
That's right.
American
About
hero.
the babies.
This guy's an American hero, Michael.
All about the babies.
Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong.
And the black community.
I agree he did nothing wrong. But he didn't know the guy. He didn't know the guy was a child molester.
No, you could tell. Look at that guy. He looks like a little creepy dude.
Well, I don't know. Look around this table. Okay.
All right, so I want to talk about ghost guns for a second. So there's a story that came out. They always talk about ghost guns in California. So this is out of Chula Vista, California. So whenever they're referring to ghost guns, they lump in everything. And basically what they're saying is any gun that doesn't have a serial number on it, they're considering that a ghost gun. So think of it like that. All right, so they're not talking about necessarily 3D printing. They're including 3D printing. They're including, ones that use to make with a CNC. They're including, and in this particular story, they're including a gun that was, different parts and pieces were bought online. A person put the gun together at home, and it doesn't have to have a serial number on it because you bought everything separate, not together as a firearm, and you put it together yourself, and you made the firearm at home, and it doesn't have to have a serial number, so they're calling that a ghost gun. And so it's a big thing in California now because they're starting to find some of these just like anything else, in different crimes and stuff like that. And
well, yeah, it's because nobody can get a gun out there.
Right.
When I lived in California, a lot of people had ghost guns. A lot.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible to buy a gun at this point. It's not impossible, but you know what I mean. It's a whole bureaucratic process that nobody wants to go through. Nobody wants to deal with all that.
The only thing people do is they're educating themselves. They're learning that, oh my goodness, I can do this. This is something that you always can do. You always could do this, is buy these little parts online from a site somewhere, have it shipped to your house, and then you can build this in your home. And now people are just educating themselves and figuring out that this is actually possible. We come back from the break. We're going to, in our last little break here, I want to talk about the deadliest cities in the United States. And then, we'll close out with something that happened something's happened around the country where people are going into stores and just taking stuff and driving out. It's called theft in the daytime. We'll talk about that when we come back from the break. This is Michael Cargill, and you are listening to Come and Talk It.
Peace, this is Maj Toure. You're listening to Come and Talk It Radio with Michael Cargill.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent and my right to my attorney. Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights, you must exercise those rights. That means you have to keep your mouth closed. Protect yourself. Don't let the legal system take advantage of you after an incident. And Law Shield members, if you've been involved in a self-defense incident, remember to call the emergency hotline and speak with your independent program attorney.
Welcome back to Come and Talk It. And now here's Michael Cargill.
All right, so we're back, and I want to talk about some more stuff. I want to go kind of quick here because we got a lot of stories got to cover. We only got a few minutes left. All right, so there's stuff going on around the country where you have people that are going into stores during the daytime and filling up their basket with stuff they grab from the store, going outside with the vehicle parked outside and loading their vehicle in it and loading the vehicle up. And you take a look at this video here, and this is what we call theft during the daytime. And unfortunately, a lot of stores have a policy where the security people can't use force to interact or stop these people from taking the product, if it's a big box store. So they're not going to jump in and grab these people and stop them. And it's theft during the daytime, so you cannot use deadly force for theft happening during the daytime. You can only use deadly force of theft happening at night in Texas, and it varies from state to state. So, this is, and that's all it is. It's theft, and unfortunately, there's not a whole bunch they can do unless they're willing to use force, to jump in and grab their product back and stop those people from doing that. But the reason these people are doing this is because these big box stores have that policy, and they know that the security people are not going to interfere. Their job is to observe and report.
Where are the cops?
Well, we've defunded them.
That's like during the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So you watch the guy that said him and his took his stepdaughter down, and they were videoing from the car. Did you see that part?
Yes.
Where they're beaten, for 10 minutes they're trashing this car dealers, and where were the cops? And nobody asked during the Kyle Rittenhouse case, well, did you see any police officers there? No, I didn't. I mean,
oh, they were just hanging out. Yeah. During the Rittenhouse thing, they were all hanging out. That's why I was waving to him at the end.
Right.
But, hey, they defunded the police and then got mad when that guy policed his own town, you know what I mean? Yeah. Walnut Creek, California is where that Nordstrom is, Michael, where 80 people ransacked the place.
80 people.
80 people. Only 3 were arrested. Well, that's probably why the police were defunded. They only got 3 out of 80. That's wow.
Not good odds.
Rookie numbers.
Right? Yeah. Come on now, man. Michael could. Man, Michael's real quick. He could have been
If
running
they're
around.
jogging all day. He could just chase them
He could
down.
have chased them all down himself.
All by myself.
And jumped over the table.
That's right.
Oh my God.
You're gonna learn today.
All right, so Michael, we also have this list of the most dangerous cities in America.
The most dangerous.
And I'm gonna start with number 10 and work my way to number 1. How does that
10.
sound?
All right, what you got?
Number 10 from my home state, Cleveland, Ohio.
How many?
The murder rate in Cleveland is 24.09 per 100,000 people. Cleveland is a rough place.
Right.
Memphis, Tennessee, 29.21 per 100,000 people. Memphis also, if you've ever been there, is also a very rough place. It's really beat up, old, nice place. Though, a lot of history.
They just
Raceland.
lost Young Dolph.
In that cookie store.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City, Missouri. That's not Kansas City, Kansas. Kansas City's in Missouri. Just so you know.
Kansas City's weird.
Kansas City is in both, by the way.
It is both?
Yes.
Yeah. There's like there's
a river that goes between them, but
the capital is
in Missouri.
Right. Yeah.
But it's in both.
Whatever. Anyways, the murder rate there is 29.88. Number 7 is New Orleans. Another, none of these are really that surprising, I guess. 30.67 per 100,000 people. Number 6 is Baton Rouge. Number 5 is my hometown, Dayton, Ohio. It says here the murder rate in Dayton is 34.18 per 100,000. That number spiked nearly 7.8 per 100,000 residents from 2018 to 2019. I actually
what did it do between 2019 and 2020, I wonder?
Was that the defunding of the police?
That didn't start until 2020, didn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Detroit, Michigan. Birmingham, Alabama. Number 2 is Baltimore, Maryland.
With
and
what?
number 1 is St. Louis, Missouri.
What's Baltimore's?
Baltimore's murder rate is 58.27.
58 people out of 100,000.
And St. Louis is 64.54 murders per 100,000 people. So,
All right.
Michael, I was telling them
What
that.
number we at?
We just finished it.
Oh, okay.
I
So who's
breezed
number
it.
1?
Number 1, St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Highest murder
St.
rate
Louis,
of any
Missouri,
major
or
American
St.
city
St.
in
Louis,
2019.
Illinois?
It's going to be St. Louis, Missouri. That's not surprising.
Austin is one of the 5 safest big cities in the country.
Well,
Yeah, the Austin this year has the highest number of murders in the history of this city since they began taking.
It was a lapse in judgment.
Since they began taking taking down the statistics in 1960. Were we going to hit triple digits this year, Mr. Michael?
We may come close. I thought we were, but now we're running down to a very short amount of time. Let me bring into this conversation. We have State Representative James White on the phone. Representative White, how you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I feel blessed. I hit the jackpot today. My buddy TJ is on the line.
Oh, man, how are you doing?
Hey, Jimbo, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm blessed. And I just want to know, listening to you guys for the last hour or so, really, brings home to why I'm so thankful to live in the United States.
That's right. And
Especially Texas.
And Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
And Texas.
And what's
no, let me say this. In East Texas. y'all a little weird around there in that Central Texas. Y'all a little weird, that Central Texas. But we love you. We love you.
Love it.
Oh, so tell me, what's your take on the Kyle Rittenhouse case?
Hey, look, obviously, Mike, I've done a lot of policy work in the criminal justice policy arena. To the best of my knowledge, this was a clean trial. The jury has spoken, and we need to move on. Okay? This is obviously, from a policy perspective, affirmation of self-defense, okay, and constitutional firearms rights.
Absolutely.
James, have you listened to the whole thing? Did you hear us discussing whether the Aubrey case and the Rittenhouse case were the same?
Yes, I came in right about when you guys were talking about that.
And do you think they're the same?
Yes and no. Okay, I understand the context now of what one of the panelists was saying is that the chasee, one of the chasees in these scenarios did not have some implement of self-defense, okay, and the other did. But again, I think this is going to be another question, and based on what I'm seeing, it still looks like it's a clean trial. It's going on the process. It's following the process. Let me ask Mike this real quick, as I'm saying this. I know the defense counsel wanted to kick the pastors out.
Mm-hmm.
Did the judge do that?
No. So,
it's a clean trial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, shucks, James, I was hoping you were going to disagree and say that there was nothing to like it, because I wanted to hear Michael call you a racist.
See, and that's why I called State Representative White, because I knew that he's going to look at this, in a way where he's going to analyze the information, and he doesn't look at it in the eyes of color.
You're the one that brought the color up.
Yeah,
I told you not to let him get it. Talk his little.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And real quick, with all of the misinformation out there about this young man, he crossed interstate lines with a rifle. We know that's not true. Okay, but I don't even see how that matters. I don't see anything that stops me from carrying a rifle across interstate lines. And also, as someone stated, even if I don't know if he is, but even if he was a white supremacist, I don't think he is, okay, that doesn't factor in this case, okay? And I think the same thing could be said about this other situation. The pastors have not been kicked out of the courtroom as public observers. To me, in that Aubrey case, it still looks like it is a clean trial as best as it can. And we should be able to accept the jury verdict however it plays out.
Representative White, I was going to tell you that, just to add on to what we were talking about with the defense attorney asking the black pastors to not be in the room. Here's a little update. More than 100 clergy gathered outside of the court after the defense attorney complained about black pastors. Just a little side note for you.
Yeah, and look, at least in Texas, I believe we have not only statutes but constitutional provisions that our courts are open to the public. Now, you can't go in and disrupt the proceedings, right,
We got
guys?
like 5 seconds left, Representative White.
Okay. So, hey, God bless y'all, man. Have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless Texas.
Absolutely.
Have a great one, James.
You too.
You too.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. As always, folks, remember this, if you don't remember anything else. More guns always equal less crime. So you go out there and you buy yourself a gun. You listen to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill.